provides free public programs, grants, and events that make the public humanities accessible for all. We believe the humanities are central to making the state more just, creative, and connected.
We are Illinois' champion for the humanities.
Last year alone, we served over 20,000 Illinoisans in 65 counties and partnered with hundreds of dynamic arts and cultural organizations.
We make and protect space for the exchange of challenging ideas, meaningful dialogue, and personal reflection. We offer hundreds of free public discussion programs every year, from community book groups to our Rhodes Scholars Speakers Bureau, which travels to communities across Illinois. We ensure public humanities experiences are available to everyone.
For over 25 years, our Odyssey project has provided income-eligible adults with the opportunity to earn college credit through free humanities courses and alumni programs.
We enable young people to share the way they see the world with our statewide Gwendolyn Brooks Youth Poetry Awards competition. Our Envisioning Justice program leverages the arts and humanities to respond to the injustices of mass incarceration and centers the voices and experiences of people most directly impacted. We uplift the essential humanities work done by organizations and individuals all over Illinois.
For 50 years, we've awarded grants to people and organizations who use the funding to protect, preserve, and amplify stories and issues that most matter to their communities.
We bolster grants with community building to activate collaborations and share wisdom.
We know your story matters.
Whether you're a young person writing a poem, a small-town organization serving as a cultural hub, a system-impacted person transforming the way we think about public safety, or a library or museum preserving and building knowledge in your community.
We support you, we celebrate you, and we are grateful you're a part of this Illinois humanities community.
Wow, this is a totally amazing room. Hello, I'm Gabrielle Lyon, Executive Director of Illinois Humanities, and it is my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome you to a moment that's 50 years in the making, Momentum, Illinois Humanities' 50th anniversary. You are making something extraordinary happen, and all together over the next hour and a half, we will be standing on the shoulders of giants, and we're going to be looking out to the horizon, and we are doing it together. This is what the humanities looks like.
Hi, I'm Antoinette Burton, an Illinois Humanities board member and professor of history at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. This is an evening over 50 years in the making, and I'm sure when Illinois Humanities Board first gathered in the 1970s, they could not have imagined looking out over this crowd, reflecting on this moment, and having achieved so much for our state.
In true humanist fashion, our night is going to unfold in 3 acts. Act 1, on wisdom and vision. Act 2, in action. And Act 3, on the horizon. By the end of tonight's program, I think you, like me, will realize that our origins are very much in our present, and they're going to fuel the future.
So our story tonight is a celebration of all of you, the partners, organizations, donors, and humanists at the heart of our statewide community.
And you all know we've had a kind of bumpy ride since April, and so I'm especially grateful to the sponsors who provided support to make it possible for us to put this event on in the first place. Our anniversary sponsor is the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Listen, at this moment, your leadership as a public institution is undeniable. Thank you so, so much. I also really want to thank a few people from UIUC, including Provost John Coleman, Venetria Padden, Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, Susan Martinez. Thank you so much, Susan, for standing with us, and Dr. Wanda Ward.
We'd also like to acknowledge our generous Transform sponsors. Ravel Limelight, responsible for the fabulous food we've been enjoying, the Steens Family Foundation, and Sue Eleuterio and Tom Sortis, who are here with us tonight. Thank you.
And I know the tech team's gonna love this. Can we pull the lights on the floor up a little bit? Because this is audience participation. The anniversary isn't just about our organizational journey. People literally traveled hours, almost days to get here. We have folks from Urbana-Champaign, from Normal, from Springfield, from Durand, from Macomb and Rushville, and even the far southern part of the state in Cairo and Grand Chain. And if you traveled to be here, will you please raise your hand? Thank you. We also have champions for our work as elected officials, and over the course of this evening, many of them are coming by to wish us celebration and congratulations. We had a fabulous proclamation come out yesterday from Governor Pritzker, Cook County President Tony Preckwinkle, State Senator Robert Peters, you'll be hearing from him in just a little bit, State Rep Camille Lilly, State Rep Teresa Ma, and we have city commissioners with us, Rachel Arfa, Commissioner Brown, and Commissioner Precious Brady Davis. If you guys are in the house, give a wave. We have Macomb Mayor Michael Inman and staff from the offices of Congressman Mike Quigley and Congressman Jesus Chuy Garcia. Thank you so much. Now is the best part. This part's the best part.
Oh God. Partners are the heartbeat of our work, and we have so many with us, past and present. If you are a current or former grantee partner, a Rhodes Scholar, part of the Odyssea Project, or the Gwendolyn Brooks Youth Poetry Awards, can you please stand or wave? We have past Public Humanities Awards honorees with us, including Lisa Lee, Jane Sachs, Sylvia Ewing, and Carlos Tortolero.
I mentioned before that we're gathering standing on the shoulders of giants, and we have so many giants in this room. Even if you're really short, you are a giant if you've contributed to the last 50 years. We have current and former staff members with us, including past executive directors like Deborah Epstein, Angel Yasagura, and Christina Velitis. Will all former and current staff please wave or stand? My bosses, our board of directors, are with us tonight. Please wave or stand. Thank you for being the best board I could ever have. And I have to tell you, this entire evening was the glimmer in the eyes of our 50th anniversary committee, and they were sure we could pull this off. And we're like, I don't know, this seems like a big project. And they're like, no. And people will come, and we're like, really? And they were like, yes, yes, they will. And I just have to call you out by name. Sue Eleuterio, Susan Manning, Deborah Epstein, Sydney May Hong, Juana Guzman, thank you. Thank you for having faith that this could really happen.
Before the end of the night, everyone in this room will be invited to stand or wave, we promise.
And now, on to Act 1, on wisdom and vision. The speakers who will be joining us on stage take us back to our founding in 1974, and they're going to help us travel through time. Over the course of this act, keep an ear out for themes: our foundation, democracy, the public square. We were set up in the 70s to be the state partner for a federal agency, to make sure tax dollars that went to Washington came back home so that we could decide what to do with them locally. Why? Why should we do that? Because there was a belief, it's a belief I share, that a great society, a society that's good for all of its residents, requires wisdom and vision, and that's what the humanities provide. Yep. No, you're next.
Okay. How can government help this to happen? Should it? Don't laugh. We'll explore these questions with our first two speakers. Board Member Emeritus Michael Dorf. Mike served as special counsel to renowned Illinois United States Representative Sidney R. Yates, and he helped develop national funding legislation for the arts and humanities, working with Mayor Harold Washington to create Chicago's first cultural plan. And he is still offering Illinois Humanities his wise counsel today.
And joining Mike is a true humanities champion in the first degree, State Senator Robert Peters, my state senator. He's been an incredible advocate for Illinois humanities, but I think most importantly for policies that frankly help us all be our best selves as human beings. And I'm so grateful that they were willing to join us tonight. Mike, Senator Peters, the stage is yours.
You know, all the things that Gabe said about the vision that created the Humanities Council are absolutely true, but none of it would have happened without bare bones, bare knuckle politics. So I want to take you back a little bit, not to 50 years ago to 1975, and not to 1965 when the Humanities Endowment was created, but I want to take you back to 1957 when we're in the middle of the Cold War and the Russians launched Sputnik 1, first satellite that orbits the Earth, and Americans are terrified, and Congress is terrified. And one of the results of it is that they had this little thing called the National Science Foundation, which had been around for years and years and years without much money, and suddenly Congress gives it tremendous amounts of money for research, for education, for grants all over the country. And those people who had other special interests, like the arts and humanities, said, we need to get in on this too. And lobbyists and special interests got involved. And in the 60s, the National Commission on the Humanities, which was part of the American Council of Learned Societies and a number of other academic communities, said, we need an NSF, a National Science Foundation for the humanities. At the same time, the arts community, with organized labor as a big piece of it, and under a grant from the Rockefeller Foundation, created a report called the Rockefeller Panel Report on the Arts and the Performing Arts. And these both came in the 60s. And Lyndon Johnson was amenable to this because he saw the special interests that were involved in it and said, this is a good thing for me to be doing as part of the Great Society. And so in 1965, they passed an act called the Arts and Humanities Foundation Act of 1965. The problem was Congress didn't too much like these things because all of the grants for both the humanities and the arts were going to the coasts. And they said, well, where's mine? Where's my money for my rural constituents in the flyover states? And so one of the first things that the Congress did is they said, we are going to set aside an amount of the appropriations that we give to the arts and humanities, and we're going to say, this stuff needs to go to the states. And we have a split in this situation because there had already been a number of state arts councils, government agencies, and so more and more states said, oh, you know, we are going to create state agencies to get me a piece of this money. The academic community, however, they were much more suspicious, and as we see today, rightly so, of becoming government agencies which would somehow be controlling the academic community. So they said, we want to be separate. We don't want to be part of the state. So the Humanities Endowment originally created a system where they set up arts councils in every state. They chose the members of those organizations, and they gave them those pieces of the money. This worked out for a while, but eventually the humanities community said, we want more independence. And so in 1975, during a reauthorization of the two endowments, the Humanities Endowment gave up their situation of controlling these, appointing these state humanities councils, and they gave planning grants of $10,000 to $15,000 to every state so that that state could create a not-for-profit corporation which would then be the recipient of their money. And over the years, Congress keeps increasing the amount of money given to the states because it's safer for them, and you don't have this sense of a ministry of culture. But that is why we have 50 state arts councils that are part of government, and why we have 50 independent 501c3 organizations like the originally the Illinois Humanities Council, now Humanities Illinois, that are our representatives taking that federal money and doing things that they believe are the most important things for the state. And so here's somebody who gives out some of that money in the state, and I'm delighted to bring Senator Robert Peters to the podium.
Good evening. It's an honor to be here surrounded by those who understand the transformative power of humanities, shaping lives, fostering understanding, and building bridges between us all. Today we come together not just to celebrate, but to protect something fundamental to who we are as a people. The vision of the National Endowment for the Humanities was rooted in a deep belief that humanities are more than just a field of study. They are the very soul of democracy. They allow us to ask the hard questions. Who are we? What do we value? What are our responsibilities to one another? The humanities brings us face to face with the stories that have shaped us, the voices of those who came before us, and the moral compass that guides us through our darkest times. And it is some pretty dark times. I was born hard of hearing. I was put up for adoption, and I would lose my adopted parents in my 20s. I have felt and lived through struggle, and it is art and humanities that inspire me and helped me move forward. I will always be entranced by a vivid story of a good novel. I will always zone in on a certain lyric and sound of a good piece of music. The bravery of a live and heartfelt play, and still to this day, I get obsessed when Spike Lee uses the double dolly shot in a movie. Now, more than ever, we need the humanities. In a world increasingly dominated by algorithms, the humanities provide the human perspective our society needs to navigate complex issues, to combat misinformation, and to build empathy across divides. They teach us not just facts, but the very human capacity for compassion and hope. Yet, despite this essential role, the humanities are under threat. Funding is being slashed, the value of art and history is being undermined, and our collective story is at risk of being forgotten. We cannot afford to lose sight of the humanities, not now, not ever. They remind us We are more than just individuals. We are part of an immense and interconnected human experience. Attacks on free speech, whether it's Jimmy Kimmel or Mahmoud Khalil, are a threat to the humanities. This isn't in my speech, but I'm going to double down on this. We must connect what is happening, whether it's a campus or Hollywood, that this is a threat to humanities. We cannot forget that. It requires us to be courageous. In this moment, where people running for Congress in Broadview are getting thrown to the ground or tear gas, we have a collective responsibility to stand up for the freedom of expression and the freedom of speech. So I have it written, I will say this: I will continue to advocate for the funding and support of the humanities, for free speech, for expression at all levels of government. The vision set forth in 1975 is still vital, and still as vital today as it was then. Actually more vital. I should edit that in my speech. It's more vital with what's going on right now. And as we look to the future, let us hold fast to that vision and remember the strength of our democracy rests on the wisdom and understanding the humanities provide. So thank you so much for having me, and I will just say I'd like to introduce and join me in welcoming a Chicago cultural heavyweight and welcoming arts leader, author, playwright, and executive director of Brooks Permissions, Nora Brooks Blakely. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Nora Brooks Blakely, and I am actually two people. I am an authorpreneur of books and plays and musicals, primarily for young people. I am also, drum roll please, thank you, thank you, legacy woman. President of Brooks Permissions with a fervent commitment to the celebration of the life and work of my mother, Gwendolyn Brooks. I have interacted with the awesome entity Illinois Humanities for many years, but we really connected in 2017 when IH had the brilliant idea of creating a new incarnation of my mother's Poet Laureate Awards, the Gwendolyn Brooks Youth Poetry Awards. So more on that in a minute. Right now, we're talking about the 80s. For Gwendolyn Brooks, the 80s were a time of messaging. Look at what she wrote, and mostly self-published. Primer for Blacks, 1980, a manifesto for Black people. To Disembark, 1981. The Near Johannesburg Boy and Other Poems, 1986. Blacks, 1987, which is still the most comprehensive collection of her work. Winnie, 1988, a poetic celebration and review of the life of Winnie Mandela. Gottschalk and the Grand Tarantelle, 1988, a poetic study on cultural appropriation. How did she know in 1981 that one of her messages, a poem called To Prisoners, would speak so vividly to Illinois Humanities' deeply necessary Envisioning Justice project? A project that recognizes how prison impacts people on both sides of the bars. And when you read lines like her call inciting us to victory, quote, over what wants to crumble you down, end quote, and, quote, I call for you cultivation of strength to heal and enhance, end quote. You know she understood the need for such a project decades ago. You know, she knew there are so many different ways to be imprisoned. In the 80s, my mother also, once again, demonstrated her ongoing belief in the power of writing in young people's lives with Young Poets Primer, 1981, and Very Young Poets, 1983. But there are the naysayers who belittle. With all the issues we face in the world today, how important could the act of young people writing possibly be, they ask. I answer, it is everything. First, we encourage young people to write out their feelings and viewpoints. Next, we listen to those feelings and viewpoints. Then we and they act on those feelings and viewpoints. And that is how we begin to climb out of the current hole we live in. Thank you. Here is one example of that. Hot off the stage from last Saturday's 9th annual Gwendolyn Brooks Youth Poetry Awards. Woo! Thank you for the backup. We had intended to have me introduce one of our freshly minted, brand spanking new winners, Delilah Martinez, and have her read her award-winning poem. However, due to the increased ICE activity, she and her family felt it was unsafe to attend this evening. And instead, Margie Lafreniere, who leads the Gwendolyn Brooks Youth Poetry Awards at Illinois Humanities, yay, Margie, okay, will read her poem. As you listen to Delilah's poem, remember, she has done her part. She has examined her feelings and viewpoints. She has written. Now it's your turn. Listen, then act.
I will ask you to bear with me because Delilah should be reading this. If They Take Her by Delilah Martinez. My mom does not drive me to school anymore. Instead, she lingers behind curtains, watching the world move without her. Her feet, once steady on grocery store tiles, now refuse to step past the front door. She hands me the list: milk, tortillas, diapers. I go in her place. My grandma's hands should smell of masa. Her voice should yell out, tamales, champurrado. But her corner by the grocery store, where hands once reached for warm plates, is empty. Her stove, cold. The streets are too dangerous for a woman with no papers, only recipes. Inside, I move through the aisles, list in hand. Milk, tortillas, diapers. I go in her place. At night, my mom whispers of a paper she must sign. Papers that would name me guardian. Words that prepare for a future where she is missing. My sister is 8. My mom wonders if her legs are strong enough to walk alone, if I am strong enough to become her mother. Thank you. I wonder how a country can call her a criminal when she has built so much of it with her hands. I wonder if they take her, who will I become?
you so much. That was so beautiful. Thank you, Nora. Thank you always, Miss Brooks, and also thank you, Delilah. It was a wonderful reminder that a poem can indeed change the world. In the 1990s, the Public Square, an organization that I helped to co-found, was adopted by the Illinois Humanities Council, as it was known then. I am forever grateful to the leadership in that era of the brilliant Christina Velitis and Angel Isaguirre, who they were my bosses at that time, and to the staff of the IHC for the radical generosity with which they welcomed our work. The Public Square was actually first incorporated with a truly sexy name, wait for it, the Center for Public Intellectuals, which it turns out is not a very sexy name. But in a subsequent reading of Cornel West's book, Race Matters, we were inspired when he invited all institutions and all people to answer the call to be a part of the Public Square in order for us to bring the United States, the U and the S, back to the us. It was an important reminder that human beings need to be reminded of over and again, and something that the humanities does so well. We, the people, are better together, and that none of us are free until all of us are free. And so we changed our name to the Public Square and passionately committed ourselves to building space for civic dialogue and for dissent, and that would build the foundation for a public square worthy of its name. This would mean doing the hard and beautiful work of creating vibrant public spaces for the sharing of and creation of knowledge, committed to common ideals for the common good, to build a commonwealth for us all. The advisory board was a dream team of activists, artists, advocates, writers, and scholars. Some of the people who helped to build this organization included the incomparable and brilliant historian Adam Green and Barbara Ransby, journalists like Joel Blyfus and Salim Muakil, cultural workers like Gordon Quinn, the founder of Katemquin Films, labor organizer James Tindwa, education scholar and activist Bill Ayers, and anti-death penalty activists and human rights activists like Alice Kim and Bernadine Dorn. All of us committed to a public square for us to unleash our radical imaginations, to collectively envision the world that we wanted to live in. Because as the novelist Arundhati Roy has beautifully reminded us, another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. I looked up an old missive from the Public Square inviting people to a conversation that we hosted with Maxine Hong Kingston, and we had two quotes at the top of the letterhead, one from Arundhati Roy, and that read, "Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and doing nothing is as political as doing something." The other from anthropologist Margaret Mead, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." One of our most popular programs was called Cafe Society, where we hosted weekly conversations in coffee shops throughout the city, and also a barber shop in Oak Park. Another program was called which Barbara Ransby made up. She loves acronyms, and it stood for Authors, Artists, Activists, After Hours. We gathered with one another, but we also threw open the doors to the public to join in leisurely conversation, grappling with the hard issues. Exemplified the joy of coming together, to take a breath and to relax into the ideas and the contradictions, to let go of dogmatism and ideology and arguments for the sake of winning, but instead to recognize through the arts, through poetry, theater, scholars, and humanities, that a life worth living was not a series of straight lines and hard corners, as Tracy Smith's poem reminds us, but actually a life filled of nuances and curves. I want to end by quoting one of my favorite scholars, Susan Buck-Morse. It was a quote that I kept on my desk at Illinois Humanities. She says, "Facts should inspire imagination rather than tying it down. The less they are subsumed under the fiction of secure knowledge, marshaled as proof of a predetermined and authoritative thesis, the more truth they are capable of revealing." Instead of defending an intellectual turf, the point of debate and scholarship in humanities should be to extend the horizon of historical imagination. Illinois Humanities was the perfect home for this work because of the commitment to the capaciousness of the humanities. I'm so happy that Illinois Humanities, or as Angel rebranded it, right? Hi! is under the brilliant leadership now of Gabe Lyons, someone I proudly call a dear friend, and not only one of the best humanities advocates out there, but also truly, as we know, one of the best humans. Happy birthday, Illinois Humanities, and thank you for having me. All right. One of the humanities' longest running and most successful programs, the Rhodes Scholars Speakers Bureau, was founded in 1996. For almost 30 years, Rhodes Scholars speakers have traveled across Illinois to bring art, culture, history, and contemporary social issues to life. They bring world-class programming to libraries, museums, retirement centers, and town halls in every corner of the state, all at no cost to the host organization or attendees. Tonight, we are all going to get a sneak peek of a Rhodes Scholars presentation. Chris Valillo is an award-winning rural singer, songwriter, folk musician, and folklorist. He is also one of our most in-demand Rhodes Scholars and has been part of the program since 1998. Join me, please, in giving Chris a huge round of applause.
Thank you. I first became associated with Illinois Humanities around 1998 when I was invited to join the Rhodes Scholars Speakers Bureau. I was just beginning to develop the concepts of creating structured shows that would use historic music as a vehicle to explore a theme or a subject, and Rhodes Scholars would prove to be the perfect place to develop these ideas. Over the past 27 years, I've created well over a dozen programs for Illinois Humanities, all with strong humanities themes, and I have had the opportunity to present these shows all across the state. I would perform in some of the most hardcore rural sections of our state, but I would also perform in urban areas as well, something that was very important to my own development as a rural artist. Rhodes Scholars gave me the one thing that is critical to creating new work: a place to present it. This allowed me to hone my skills as a writer and a performer, helping me create better, more professional work while introducing me to organizations and presenters that would not otherwise have been able to share my skills with these people. Through Rhodes Scholars, I would develop and hone my skills and to make the shows that would form the backbone of my work. In 2024, I premiered my latest show, Forgotonia. Forgotonia features original music written about rural Illinois, along with the backstories behind the songs and the projected images of award-winning rural photographer Tim Schroll to describe the changes that have taken place in rural Illinois over the past 40 years. I am now currently touring this show and have just returned from the Midwest Arts Expo in Milwaukee, where I showcased Forgotonia. All of these accomplishments are a direct result of my involvement with Illinois Humanities and the Rhodes Scholars Speakers Bureau. Ladies and gentlemen, Forgotonia.
Oh, I was born on the prairie, and the milk of its wheat, and the red of its clover, the eyes of its women gave me a song and a slogan.
Thank you very much.
You all look wonderful tonight. Shout out to all of you who saw that bring a pop of color to the evening. So very nice. We hope you're enjoying yourself, but we do have a lot more in store. And as a way to say thank you for coming on this journey with us tonight and being here with us tonight, we do want to make sure that you take the opportunity to leave here with another gift. So all of the books that you see in front of you on your centerpieces, please make sure that you grab something to read, take something back with you, because we'd like to say thank you in that way. And you've got that beautiful book bag to put them in. So we hope that you enjoy that.
And in Act 1, we introduced our origin story and got a taste of how the wisdom and the vision of the humanities create the public square, strengthen our democracy, and support our foundation. We also heard about the ways in which art and reality are intersecting in our lives and our lives of our partners.
Now, Act 2 is about the humanities in action. Illinois Humanities entered the 21st century, continuing to make grants to humanities organizations throughout the state of Illinois. We also spun out just a small little event called Chicago Humanities Festival years ago. And that has turned into its own independent organization. But we do want to recognize that while that organization has grown, we need to thank some of the leaders of it. But most and foremost, Philip Behar is here in the room, the executive director. So we do want to acknowledge and thank you for sharing this anniversary with us.
So one of the things that I love about being a part of Illinois Humanities is the way we bridge urban and rural divides. But most of all, I love the commitment to centering people and their lives and how we design and run programs. And one of the most powerful examples of that is our Odyssey project.
We do have two amazing Odyssey Project alumni here, Dulce Maria Diaz, who graduated from the Odyssey Project in 2023, and our very own Tia Williams, Illinois Humanities Digital Communications and Database Manager, who is part of our inaugural class.
So please welcome Tia and Dulce.
Thank you for that warm reception. I very much appreciate it. My name is Tia Williams, and it is my pleasure tonight to talk to you about Illinois Humanities' long-running program, the Odyssey Project. Put simply, the Odyssey Project is a 9-month course in the humanities that offers college credit to low-income adults. However, as any Odyssey faculty member, staff, student, tutor, or alumni will tell you, the Odyssey Project is anything but simple. Odyssey, as the name hints, is an empowering and liberating educational journey, one that can be life-affirming and life-changing. My journey with the Odyssey Project actually started when I was an undergrad at a UIC. I came to... UIC! I came to UIC with the intent to graduate with a degree in computer programming, but was quickly seduced by all the courses offered that had nothing to do with my major. Seriously, how was I supposed to concentrate on technical classes needed to graduate when there was this whole booklet of courses that offered things that were so much more interesting, that had me meet new people, deal with different ideas. It was just amazing. In fact, it got so bad that my mom labeled me a career student because all I did was take classes that interested me. Most of those were in the humanities, and didn't even care about graduating. However, I did have to focus on those technical classes necessary for a degree, but by that time I had grown tired of school and felt it was time for me to enter the real world. So my job search led me to Illinois Humanities in May of 2000, an organization where I could completely and totally get behind the mission. And that fall, my friend and coworker, E.J. Hendricks, EJ, dragged me into participating into the course. So amazingly though, I found my home again. I found that same zeal for learning and connecting that I had at UIC at the beginning of my career there, and meeting different people from different backgrounds, discussing issues both past and present was very liberating. It served as a reminder that life is so much more than just paying the bills and putting food on the table. This is something that any Odyssey alum can attest to. After experiencing the Odyssey Project, so many have gone on to continue their education, start new careers, start their own businesses and nonprofits, become community volunteers, community activists, and so much more. In short, Odyssey alumni no longer just get through life. They live life, they experience life and the world around them. I am so very proud to be part of an organization that stays true to its mission by offering a program such as the Odyssey Project. And in these times, it says a lot that the team at Illinois Humanities, UIC, which offers the college credits for the Odyssey Project, and the program's funders and partners continue to support a program that has a more qualitative return on investment than quantitative. I just want to say that again. Qualitative return on investment instead of quantitative. Your support is much appreciated. And I'd also like to take this time to thank the visionaries, board alum, MacArthur Fellow, and 2018 Humanities Public Award recipient Danielle Allen, and Angel Isagiri, former program officer and executive director of IH, who brought this program to Illinois Humanities, and Christina Velitas, former executive director, who approved it. So thank you very much. I now have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, an artist who runs her own not-for-profit organization, graduated from the Odyssey Project in 2023, and is currently enrolled in the basic program of liberal studies for arts and adults at the University of Chicago. Here she is, Miss Sweet Mary Day herself, Dulce Maria Diaz.
Wow. My name is Dulce Maria Diaz. I was born in my grandma's house in a rural small town called Tumbiscatillo de Ruiz. It was a place without showers nor electricity. My father was not present when I was born. He was here in the United States playing music as a mariachi, which ultimately led for our migration in 1988. I am the youngest of four, and I remember crossing the border through California wearing my red and white polka dot dress. True story. I remember crossing the border, and I remember the coyotes that helped carry me. I remember the first time I saw snow. Later, I remember a woman that came into our local library in the Gage Park neighborhood where we later moved. And I remember when she spit at me and called me a name. Oppression easily brings about broken childhood dreams, broken homes, and desperate means. I really wanted to belong. I wanted to be a part of the society that was accepted. And my oldest sister, she warned me that without education, I would never be respected. We, the people of the United States of America, did not speak to me. Mexicanos al grito de guerra. did not speak to me either. I didn't belong, but I learned to wear the mask. And even if I couldn't be accepted, at least I could try to be respected. I knew I couldn't afford a degree, but I also knew that I had to look good in paper in order to survive. I put myself through paralegal studies and worked with the best mentors who truly cared for their clients. As I got older and worked with other firms that lacked this care, that made it very difficult. But God put me in this path, and God also sent me this message to return to school, where I returned to study business for arts at the University of Chicago. I laughed at this dream when I couldn't even afford a degree. But God made sure that even though I was rejected from this program at the University of Chicago 4 times, I took all of its lessons and started my own nonprofit. It felt more like a calling that I just couldn't ignore, sharing His energy. It was in 2020 when oppression removed me from the legal profession, and in search of free schooling, I found out about the Illinois Humanities. The Odyssey Project, my world changed. This was a real place where so many other people like me who had been oppressed out of opportunities for higher education. The warmth received from the Odyssey Project, from Mbeki and its leaders, it wasn't fake, and it wasn't temporary. I graduated year 1 feeling more confident. Oh, okay, I wasn't alone. And then I graduated in year 2 in 2023, where I had the honor to be a class speaker at the National Mexican Museum of Fine Art. This was a time when my father was hospitalized. I drove directly from our graduation to the Cincinnati's Freedom Center in Ohio. And it was there where I gained a fresh perspective of the importance of the Illinois Humanities work. Because of my involvement with the Illinois Humanities, I was able to return to my passion of arts and education and receive the sponsorship to the University of Chicago Liberal Arts for Adults, where I get to focus more on humanities and philosophy and get to be part of the class of 2027. We the people of the United States of America, it finally speaks to me. I do matter. I finally understand just how much we matter and how important our voices are to constitutionalize a fresh meaning to inclusion and true liberty to all. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, one nation, because under God we are one. I thank you, Gabe, Becky, and everyone that has worked so hard to keep the Illinois Humanities humane, when empathy and support, even when we are facing the current challenging times, now more than ever. I want to remind us, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Matthew 9:37. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Dulce and Tia. Hello, everyone. My name is Fayrouz Abu Ghazaleh. I'm the Director of Statewide Programs at Illinois Humanities. Thank you. And I'm based in a small town just outside of Champaign in East Central Illinois. I get to regularly travel our long, beautiful state to visit partners and to support and participate in events that are part of Illinois Humanities statewide programs, like the Rhodes Scholars Speakers Bureau, Community Conversations, and the Foreground Rural Initiative. I'm proud to be here today with Erin Eveland, who traveled from Rushville in the western part of the state to be with us. Before I hand it off to Erin, I want to pick up from where Tia and Dulce left off and tell you a little bit about what we've been up to at Illinois Humanities since 2020. My colleagues are amazing. During the pandemic, we got really creative. Instead of canceling programs, we created new ones, and we launched a major relief and recovery funding effort. We learned small towns and rural communities lacked access to traditional funding due to geography or couldn't apply for grants because of small budgets. Most clearly, we learned these history, heritage, arts, and cultural organizations have an outsized impact as community anchors, particularly for low-income adults and communities of color, the exact communities we are most focused on serving at Illinois Humanities. What we learned changed us. For one, we doubled down on envisioning justice and expanded from a Chicago initiative into a standing statewide program that leverages arts and humanities to examine the impacts of mass incarceration and to collectively shape a more just future. Secondly, we launched the Foreground Rural Initiative to specifically support small towns and rural communities. Most importantly, we now work geographically through 9 regional hubs around the state, anchored by incredible community leaders, many here today with us. We are so privileged to have one of these great leaders with us, Erin. It has been a joy working closely with Erin for over 3 years now. She is an important community pillar in Rushville and the surrounding area. She has not only been a witness to recent vital community building work, but has been a shepherd of a lot of it. Erin embodies what arts and the humanities and efforts like Foreground can enable in communities. I'm going to hand it over to Erin, who will take us to Rushville and tell us how the humanities are helping this rural town thrive.
Well, I think most importantly, it's for me to kind of explain where Rushville is and who Rushville is. We're a small town of just under 3,000 people in the western part of the state. And the hub, the organization I run, serves 5 of those counties, those rural counties. Like many communities, rural communities, we face challenges like distance, limited resources, and lack of infrastructure. That's why our partnership with Illinois Humanities has been so important. Through programs like Museum on Main, we not only brought the Smithsonian to Rushville, but the hub's work was actually highlighted as part of the traveling exhibit. One picture chosen for the exhibit was from one of our very first camps. And Dave Haney, who was a retired English teacher turned reporter and an avid printmaker, showed our campers the letterpress at our local newspaper. Dave later would serve on our board of directors. He passed away actually a year ago. I cannot think of a better way to honor his memory than to be in the Smithsonian, and he was a great friend and Rushville legend. More recently, we became involved in the Foreground Rural Initiative. It's made a huge impact on the humanities in our region. When I started the hub, I often felt isolated from other people in our field. Being an anchor for Foreground gives me a chance to connect. Once a month, the humanities leaders from across our area meet to connect and support each other, even though some of us live more than an hour apart. That sense of connection, sometimes just on a screen, is vital to sustaining our work. At the Hub, we often create vibrant community experiences, thanks to Illinois Humanities. Just today, the Hub opened our new local history exhibit, celebrating 200 years of Schuyler County. The only way we can afford to print these panels for exhibits like this is through an Activate History microgrant. We expect more than 400 people will visit the exhibit before it ends, and actually 157 people visited today. This exhibit is part of our Schuyler County Bicentennial Celebration. So tonight, I am returning home. It is a 4-hour drive. It took me 5 hours to get here. And tomorrow morning, that means that I will be up and at the Hub at 10 o'clock. And I will be running a variety of events on the square, including a historical costume contest, a bicentennial historical pageant featuring one of our local playhouses, Pandora's Playhouse Players. The Hub's Ukulele Club will be featured. And at 1 o'clock, in case anybody wants to travel to Rushville, I will be dressing up in my 1860s attire and dancing with my family in the Hub's historic dancers. So if anybody wants to see us dance, we will be dancing. I'm a much better dancer than I am a public speaker, just in case you're wondering. The culture downstate Illinois may look different from here in Chicago. But if you visit with an open mind, you'll see the beauty. And that's what Illinois Humanities does best. It lifts up unique voices and stories, the stories of our communities, and reminds us that together we make up the rich and diverse fabric of this state.
Hear it for Erin, Evelyn, y'all. Wait, come here. Let's pull these lights up just a little bit. You know tech teams love me. Everything Erin said is true, and I just want to tell you that if you go to Rushville, which I have done, it's awesome. Just keep in mind, there are 400 people in this room right now. So I just want to talk about scale, but the other thing is, I took an amazing yoga class in Rushville, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had, so thank you.
Also a yoga teacher.
We are also, one other thing, it's no small feat to be an executive director of an arts and culture organization, and we have a bevy of them in this room. If you run an arts, a history, a heritage organization, will you raise your hand so you can be recognized? You know what we are talking about. You know what we are talking about. And Erin, we are all with you, and we know what it will be like to take those sack lunches out for the volunteers, and for that, we're grateful. Thank you. And with that, we begin Act 3. The themes are being and becoming, meeting the moment, and dreaming into the future. By the end of this act, everyone here is going to have a role to play, so you know that's called foreshadowing. I'm using all my humanities words tonight, and I mean that literally. It's not a metaphor, and it's not an analogy or a simile. Gratitude is a word that means a lot right now, and I just want to let you know how deeply all of us at Illinois Humanities appreciate you choosing tonight to be with us. It means a lot. If you don't remember who I am, I'm Gabrielle Lyon. I'm the executive director of Illinois Humanities. Thank you. And for the past 6 years, I've served as executive director, and I have been very humbled leading into this evening. I'm a mom, and I have 2 kids. I have some family with me. I want to give a shout out to my beautiful nephew, Elias, and my partner, Josh Fox. I'm also a historian, and history in the house. And I'm a descendant of political and religious refugees and immigrants, and perhaps you are too. So this work's personal. If you're in this room and you chose to be here, it's because it's personal. It is, it's personal. And tonight we're doing something that is increasingly rare and increasingly important, which is we are creating a public. It's ephemeral. It's elusive. It's a golden thread. That's what runs through democracy, the formation of a public. And so I mean it when I say it means something that you chose to be here tonight in community. I also mean it when I say I wasn't quite sure we'd pull this off. You know, back in April, some of you know, we got this email from Doge. It was like 11, 12 at night. And it was basically a kind of email kneecapping of sorts. We weren't sure what exactly was going to happen, but we were preparing. We have a great board, we have a great community, we have a great staff, and we rallied. And those funds that were cut were about 1/3 of our budget, about $2 million. And so we've had a lot on our hands. And I mean it when I said I wasn't really sure if we were going to pull this off. I was worried, but I didn't need to be, because we have a fabulous captain of the ship named Morgan Higgins, who is in this room someplace. And she kept her hand on the tiller. And we had a secret ace up our sleeve called Allison Cuddy. Allison, are you in the room? Yeah. So Allison helped us curate our history. I hope she's waving. I can't see a thing. But here's the thing that I learned from Allison, working with our archives and illuminating the themes that we are all experiencing tonight. The opportunity in 1974 is exactly the opportunity we have right now in 2025 to activate the humanities so that we can be in community with one another and develop wisdom and vision. And we all need a little more of that. But I'll tell you something, the opportunity is the same, but this organization is not the same, because we're changing. We're changing because we're learning from our partners like Erin and like so many of you in this room. We're changing because we're feeling our role more deeply. We're feeling that responsibility more deeply. And frankly, we're changing because our vision has expanded. We are understanding this work as systems change work, as social justice work, and that we have a vision that says you cannot have a state that is just and creative and connected without the humanities being central. So here's the job for us. Yeah, right. That's the job. So this is the job. We're going to build by design an equitable cultural infrastructure. We're going to ensure all residents can engage with the humanities, and in particular, we're going to reach and continue to reach more and more communities least likely to have access, including folks like Delilah, who couldn't even be with us tonight. And we're changing because the context for the work is changing, in case it's not clear. Is it unclear to anybody that the context for the work is changing? So we need to change, and let's talk about changing now. Let's talk about right now. And I just want to say one last thing, and I'm excited for what's going to happen next. Chris, where are you? I see you. You're right in the right spot. You guys are going to love Chris. I love Chris already. Chris, you're going to do a great job, right? Of course you are. I want to talk about right now, because there's a story going around, and we have a different version of the story. The story going around every day, and they're telling you, and they're telling me, and they're telling everybody in this room and everybody outside of this room, that we are simple and flat and reduced, that we are almost nothing, but we know that we are more than this. We're more than an affiliation with a political party. We're more than how we voted in an election. We're more than the decision to not vote in an election. We're more than the titles of our jobs. We're more than the numbers they give us in a database that makes us less than human. And this set of things is enveloped in a story that is also not true. Every single thing you're experiencing this night is a contradiction. It's a counterbalance to this story that we are being told. That whomever they are, they're not us. They're not like us. They're less than us. They're probably not quite human. They're basically dangerous, and they're coming to destroy us. And if you think that that story isn't hard, not just for the people at the target, in the center of the target, it's bad for us to hear that story too. It hurts all of us. So tonight, it's our 50th anniversary. It is our 50th, but we are just getting started. We are a nonpartisan organization at a moment when being nonpartisan is understood as an act of resistance. We are in a moment when it is radical to be willing, just willing to meet people where they're at with a sincere curiosity. It's radical, right now, radical, to be willing to give any ground in an attempt to just find some common ground. Erin Evelyn just invited us, radical hospitality, to come to Rushville. And even as doing that, she's asking you to just be curious and see what it's like, and that it might be different from how you think it might be. Because it will be different, but it's not all different. Because the truth is, in every single one of our 102 counties, there are people who are making and protecting spaces for challenging conversations, for homegrown history, to uplift undertold stories. And so, my friends, whether or not you choose it, engaging in public humanities may itself be fundamentally human, and it is also radical. So look, 50 years, there's a timeline, you can go get your photos taken, there's good stuff ahead, but I will say this, we have never been needed more than right now. When Mike Dorff told his history, that came out of an understanding of an imagination of what might be possible to create a great country here at home and on the world stage. But now we're really needed. We are needed right now. It's not just an idea. We've been building these muscles, the counterbalance to these stories that we are being told. We've been building these muscles for 50 years. We are ready for this moment. We are building momentum, and we need fuel to run. Cue Chris. And so I invite my new best friend, Chris Hensley, on stage to help all y'all help us find the fuel we need to dream into the future. Thank you.
Gabe Lyon, ladies and gentlemen. Bravo. Tonight is about envisioning and building our future and the future of Illinois humanities together. Now, to help us, we have a special opportunity to hear from award-winning poet and artist Felita Hicks, whose work is as fearless as it is visionary. Their debut collection, Hoodwitch, was a finalist for the Lambda Literary Award, and her writing has appeared in Poetry Magazine and the American Poetry Review. Felita's work doesn't just reflect the present moment. It imagines what's possible, looking boldly into the future of identity, resilience, and justice. So let's jump ahead to 2030. To 2050, or even our second 50 years to 2075 together. Please join me in welcoming an ambassador to the future, Felita Hicks.
I know it's late, I just want to say a few words. $25 could have kept me out of jail. $150 Could it help me pay for bail? That's not a poem, it just happened to rhyme. What you do when you donate changes lives. You feed people, you put a roof over their head, you make sure they have medical care. So thank you, every single one of you. I would not know Illinois Humanities if it wasn't for Jane Beachy. I was making sure you were still there. I was like, did you move again? And I would not know Jane Beachy if it was not for the Art for Justice Fund. And we would not have had the Art for Justice Fund if it was not for Agnes Goon, who passed last night. I do not want you to be sad, because this is exactly where she would have wanted me to be. This is exactly where she wanted to be, is making sure people get taken care of. So I'm gonna read a poem, and it is in celebration of Illinois Humanities' 50th anniversary. It's called Common Ground, Enduring Light. Let us thank the stars for the humanities, for stewarding the collective memory of those who came before and those yet destined still to bring light into the century. Today, we step off the sidelines and into the history books. Migrating from our outdated definitions, we must turn our minds to look where they are afraid to look, towards the catalogs of human experience. Let us take the path that some are afraid to take, to remember, to learn from our collective histories, successes, and mistakes. This is a moment of invigoration, a time for renovations, not restorations, an opportunity to innovatively design a society in which all are recognized, all appreciated, and divine. Tonight, we gather, steady, rooted, and bright, luminous palms over our hearts, our minds lit by the fight. This moment is the seed of a life-giving season. We get what we give, so give for this reason. We cannot thrive without the other. We depend on each other, so let empathy then be your beacon as we rush towards our harvest season. We in Illinois know endurance. We know what it is to burn, begun in the key of perseverance and in the register of return. On the ground of the Council of Three Fires, we have always known what it was to stand firm, what it required to make for everyone a home. Mandates may attempt to steal from us our very selves, that which gives us life, that which makes us well. The resources designed to benefit the whole, to heal us, to keep us connected to our many cultured souls. They might attempt to drag us from the humanness of our compassion into a devastating silo of a night. But they cannot deter our progress. They cannot deter the fight. Tell me, what else comes after memory but the making? What else comes after witness but the work? We not only keep the stories, we carry them forward, each of us a lantern against the dark. The humanities are not relics. They are the rhythm beneath tomorrow's song. They are the compass for justice, the pulse that keeps us strong. Illinois is our living archive, our seedbed, and our stage. And we will not wither into silence, but blaze a path for each new age. We stand not as echoes now, but as the emissaries of our time, not as footnotes in their essays, but as complete chapters in the story of how this country realigned. On common ground, we will find our grace. In enduring light, we will hold the space. Together, we will sketch new declarations, affirm the dignity of every person, every human, in these United States, because what is remembered is never lost. What is honored is never gone, and what is human, when woven together, can be infinitely glorious, wondrously strong. May we safeguard the archives that hold our memories. Let the libraries shout out the names. May the classrooms burn with courage. May the streets resound with our refrains. May Illinois stand as a signal fire with our prairie roots and a courageous flame, proclaiming that what we build together cannot and will not be erased, cannot and will not be tamed. For we are the humanities, the keepers of memory, the stewards of time. bringing context to the fight, giving illumination to the heart and mind. We step forward together on the common ground. Together we are the enduring light. Together we shine and crown.
Can we hear it for Felita? Felita has done more to put our vision into words than any one of us could. Felita, thank you. Thank you so much. And to everyone still sitting here, good news, there's dessert. There's dessert and there is dancing, but most importantly, there are the flames that grew a little brighter because every single person on this stage are giving us that other story that we got to keep telling. They're giving us that counter narrative. And every single one of you that chose to spend this evening with us, you're reminding us what the public is all about. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to every single one of you. And with that, we've reached our epilogue, and now we dance.